Welcome one and all to another very special episode of Concentrated Chaos with your host. Hey, it's me, it's Rusty. And for those of you that know me, well, I'm Rusty. And for those of you that don't know me, well, I'm Rusty. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today we have the second episode of the Playbook. The Playbook is my entire selling process on how I sell homes from A to Z. In case you missed the first week, this whole series is everything that I do. Nothing's held back. There's not going to be a sales pitch. There's no course that I'm selling. Nothing. This is here for you to help. And this information can only get out there and help people improve their lives and improve their results. So that's what we're doing here. Today, we are talking about pricing. Now, pricing. This is a very small piece, time-wise, of the entire selling process. From the first time that I talk to you until closing day, usually is about 60 to 90 days. The actual listing is 30 to 45 days. Determining the pricing takes about 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour if you have a really weird one that you have to kind of wade through some uncomparable comps. So in the grand scheme of things, if we're talking, a 90-day cycle, you're talking an hour out of 90 days, it's a very minuscule piece of the timeline, right? However, everything in this system is predicated on the fact that you price the property right. If you don't price it right, your marketing is not going to work. Your showing strategy is not going to work. The offers are not going to come in hot and heavy like you would want them to so that you can negotiate them the right way. And if you miss on pricing, the entire playbook from here on out is going to be a nice list of suggestions, but it is not going to be a system that produces results. So when I say pricing is everything in this system, I mean it. This is the foundation of everything going forward. So you might say, why is pricing so important? So in order to really understand why pricing is so crucial, we're going to look at value of a property as far as a real estate transaction goes. Okay, so there's going to be two different ways that value is determined in a real estate transaction, right? First, we're going to talk about how an appraiser values it. And then second, we're going to talk about how buyers value a property. So first, the appraiser, because that's who the lender is going to hire, in order to determine the value of the house based on what the comparable homes in that area are actually selling for, which that's what the current buyers are actually paying now, right? Secondly, from there, we look at how a buyer is going to value your home. And we want to make sure that when we price a house, we price it in a way that we make it attractive to buyers. Because is a buyer only going to be looking at your house, or are they going to be shopping around and comparing your house with others? Of course they're going to be shopping around, right? So as they're looking at all the other houses available, what do you think that they're comparing? They're comparing, the features of the house, things like quality, condition, location, and they're comparing price, right? And so we want to make sure that the house is priced in a way that we get all of the highly motivated, qualified buyers excited that your house is for sale. Okay? So, as we're going through this, obviously people have their lists of wants and needs, right? It has to be in this school district, and it has to have this many bedrooms, and it has to have this kitchen, and they have everything that they want and need in a house, right? Well, people are people, and when you get into the psychology of how people choose things, people will forego some of their wants, right, in order to save a buck. And so if we're priced in a way to get people excited, people are going to go, man, I really wanted, a 3-car garage. That one doesn't have a 3-car garage, but man, look at the price. Let's go take a look at it and see if we can make it work, right? All right, so let's get into the pricing strategy, my philosophy behind how I price homes, okay? what I do, and we'll go over an example. I have an example from another recording that I did that's really good. It kind of lays it out, and I write stuff on the whiteboard so that you can kind of see. We'll talk through that here in a bit. But the strategy behind it is I want to price slightly ahead of the market in order to get people emotionally invested, right? Because buying a house is an emotional process. And I don't mean that in it's does things as far as makes you emotional. It can, and that certainly comes up, but buying a home is not usually, unless you're buying for an investment, but buying a house for you to live in is not a numbers game. Okay, it's not a how many square feet exactly. Well, this house has 3 less square feet than what we need. Doesn't work for us. Let's move on. Very rarely do you have people that are that numbers oriented. Buying is emotional. You imagine, when my wife walks in a house, the first thing she thinks about is where's the Christmas tree go? Okay, well that's not a numbers logic thing. That's an emotional thing. So what we want to do is we want to get buyers emotionally invested in your house. And so let's cut to an example of how I would price something as in a real world scenario of how that works. All right, so past Rusty, let's talk about how I would price this house. Take it away. Okay, now let's go over a quick example here of pricing just so you kind of know what this looks like in practice, okay? So let's say your house, let's say you pull comparables on your house and the price range that you're coming up with is $485,000 to, let's call it $510,000, okay? $510,000. All right, so what most people will do in this scenario is they'll say, okay, my house is probably worth somewhere in here. Cool, we're gonna list it for $525,000 because we know people are gonna come in under the price so that we have room to negotiate down so we can end up closer to this, okay? That is wrong. In every other thing that is sold in the country, yes, you want to go high so you can leave a little bit of room to negotiate down. And it's how we've been taught as a culture. That's how we negotiate. When you're selling a house, it's the opposite, okay? So what I would do in this scenario, I'd say the comparables are $485,000 to $510,000, okay? Let's say there's comparables houses for sale. Let's say there's one at $499,000. Let's say there's one at $505,000, and then let's say there's one at $540,000. Okay, those are our active. This is the competition that we're in right now when we go on the market, right? So these are the comparables. This is the price range that I'm seeing. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to want to price a little bit ahead of the market. So what I would recommend in this scenario, the selling price that I would recommend here, whoop. See, and this is live. I'm not going to edit this out. This is just me talking to you guys, okay? So what I would recommend in this scenario is a list price of $475,000, okay? This price, when they see those other ones that are, $495,000, $5 and above, they're going to see $475,000 and they're going to go, wait a minute. The other houses in the neighborhood are more than this. This house is comparable. Why is it $475,000? And they're going to think to themselves for a second, I wonder if there's something wrong with it. I don't know. It's worth checking out. Let's go and see it. And then they're going to schedule a showing. And 5 and 10 and 20 other people are going to have that exact same thought. And they're going to come in and they're going to get emotionally invested as soon as they get in the door. Because selling is all numbers. It's a numbers game. There's no emotion involved in selling a house. Not usually, but usually comes down to the numbers. Buying is emotional. So we want to get those buyers excited because, oh my gosh, we want them to walk in your front door and go, this house for only $475,000 in this neighborhood? Oh, we got to put an offer in right now. Like, let's call the seller today. Let's get an offer in. And then when you get, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those buyers coming in, putting those offers in, that's where you make your money. Boy, that was a mighty fine, handsome gentleman we just spoke with there, wasn't it? So you kind of get what I'm talking about now, right? With the example. So we want to engage all of those emotions when we're thinking about pricing. We want to get people in the door. Everything that we do is to get people in the door so that these buyers can get emotionally invested in making an offer on your house. Okay? So it's not about tricking people or anything like that. It's about utilizing the tools at our disposal in order to leverage human psychology to make more money for yourself. And like we talked about, buying is emotional. Selling, most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, selling is logical. If somebody's going to give you the money that you're asking for and give you more money than anyone else is going to give it to you, chances are you're going to take that offer. No, there's times where you may have extenuating circumstances or whatever the case is, but most of the time, if the numbers work on paper, you're going to sell your house to whoever it is. And on the flip side, buying, even if you have to, move some numbers around, if you're emotionally attached to a house, you will figure out a way to make the numbers work because it's an emotional attachment, not a numbers thing. So, all that to be said, this is what I'm looking at when I'm pricing a house. This is the pricing strategy, and it is, again, crucial that we nail this 100%. 100%. If we mess this up, everything falls apart, and then we're out in the Wild West, and we have no idea what's going on. If we follow the strategy here, then we are in control of the process. And when we're in control, that's when we can make the best decisions for ourselves. So that's it. Pricing. Nail it. Watch this video as many times as you need to get this in your head. This is how important pricing is. So, all right. Thank you very, very much for joining me today. This was all about pricing. Next week, we're going to talk about selling strategy. So once you get the pricing right, how do we get this sucker sold? Okay, so we'll talk through a bunch of stuff about that. So thank you very much. So if you have any comments or questions, or if you're another agent and you go, this guy's out of his mind, I would love to chat with you. So feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text. The number is 303-335-9705. That is a direct line right to my face. You can email me, rusty@rustystevenson.com. You can find me on all social medias @TheRealtorRusty. And then you can just find me. Just stop me on the street. Say hello. I stick out. I'm kind of a, like I said, fat guy with a mohawk. Kind of easy to spot. So thank you again very much for your time, for watching this episode. Just like every week, how we come in, Mr. Andy Barkowski is going to take us out with my awesome, awesome theme song. Thank you so much. We will see you next week for our third installment of the Playbook, talking about selling strategies. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great one. See you next week.